To whom it may concern. My name is Frank Leeper, and this is in reference to my wife, Marie Holland, who was a resident at Maplewood Nursing and Rehabilitation Center from January 7th until June 2nd, 2019. Towards the end of 2018, my wife was getting sicker, so I called 911. They took her to the hospital, and they determined that her condition was such that she needed 24/7 care, long-term care, and she went to the Maplewood Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. So on the very first day she was there, the same night, early morning hours, a nurse calls and tells me that they sent her back to the hospital because of her respiratory distress. I said, okay. I contact the hospital, and then she was only there for a few days, approximate. And then they sent her back there again, and then she started to get settled in. I visited her, and she seemed better than she was. And then the middle of January, I get another call in the early morning hours. It was on the weekend. And the nurse tells me that they found her unresponsive, so they called 911 and sent her back to the hospital. And again, they did notify me for that. Okay, so she came back again, and she seemed all right for a while. And then, in the middle of, I guess in the middle of March of 2019, I get another call. This was in the daytime. The nurse tells me that your wife, we found bumps and blisters, red bumps and blisters on her buttocks. And we're going to call the doctor to come and see what it is, and I'll let you know. I said, okay. She calls me back a little while later, and she tells me that the doctor said that it was shingles, and that she's going to be in a separate room, and you can come and visit her until she gets over that. I said, okay, thank you. And then I said to myself, shingles? I don't know. It seemed... I don't know, when I heard blisters and red bumps, I thought bed sores, but because she had told me a few times that she was wet. And, I got the nurse to change her. But I wasn't sure when that made me wonder, so I went there, and about a week later, she was over all that. So I looked at it and said, well, I was glad. That means her immune system must be getting better for her to get over that so quick, So I was glad for that, but I wondered about a few things. First of all, I checked her Medicare bill for that day. There was no doctor visit there. So this was an on-call doctor. She just gave her the symptoms of what it was, and that's what he determined. She didn't get examined face-to-face, huh? So that's another thing I wasn't too happy with, but she was over that, so okay. So now that was about the middle of March, and then by the end of April, her condition was improving. She was a lot better than I've seen her for a while. She was eating. She was, talkative and all. And so I was happy to see it. Then starting in May, the very beginning of May, I noticed a little cough. But it wasn't too bad, so I said, make sure you're eating and, take them. See, it's not like she can take her medication or I can give it. It's dependent on the people working there for to make sure that she gets her medication. So, okay, everything seemed to be all right. I went there the next 2-3 weeks. She seemed about the same. She still had the cough. Now, May 21st, 2019, I get a call in the early morning hours from a nurse saying that she fell out of bed, and they got her back in bed, and she seems all right. She seems to be all right. We're going to be watching her, and we'll let you know. I said, okay. But I asked, why didn't you call 911? And she said because she wasn't bleeding or anything. I said, okay, I accepted it. So that was the 21st. So I decided, but I was going to go there on the 20th. So I went on the 23rd, and I noticed she was a little disoriented, but about the same because she's got a mental condition. So it's hard to tell, if that fall could have done anything. It might not have showed up for a while. I don't know. The biggest peeve I have there is they didn't call 911. Why? Why? They're afraid they're going to find something out at the hospital because they have her records and all, and they know her condition. But they're going to find out that that she had an injury, an internal, not an overt injury like they said. And no doctor examined her, nothing at the fall either. That's another one of those things that they contacted the physician. Yeah, by phone. Why couldn't he come there and examine her? Well, they have nurses for that, I guess. The staff, right? Okay. So they monitored her for safety now and all. I didn't hear no more about it. The only calls I got in May of 2019 was from the social worker twice, and when she fell. And when she fell, they didn't say nothing other than she's going to be monitored. That's it. So I didn't hear no more about it. I went there on the 23rd, the 25th, and 27th of May, 2019. I had a meeting with the social worker in my wife's room, 219B, with the nurse supervisor and the therapy lady and him. I asked this nurse supervisor all about the fall, and she said everything checked out all right. They did the paperwork and all. You were contacted, and that's to monitor her for safety. And she said, that's the way we do it. And I said, okay. Then I noticed her legs have been swollen. You know, I just noticed that. And they said, because the salt, is it too much? You said, no, her salt is normal, but you're still giving her the salt, right? Well, if she's swollen, couldn't that mean she's getting too much salt now? She doesn't need it? No, we're going to continue to give her the salt, because if we don't give her the salt, then it won't be. And that's the reason why it's normal. The reason the swelling is because one of the nurses, again, didn't raise her legs up like she's supposed to at night, and in the wheelchair too. Her legs weren't raised up in the wheelchair. They took off those extensions, and I didn't see them anymore. Okay, so I'm still in the room talking to the nurse for the therapy lady, and she had a funny look on her face. She didn't want to hear what I had to say, but she listened to it. She didn't say too much. I said, "What? She needs a therapy so she can get around. I can get her home, and I can take care of her." No, we can't do it yet because the coverage didn't kick in yet, and when it does, she's got to be strong enough and all that. I said, okay, we'll work on it then. Then I talked to the social worker, and I asked him, why are you telling me about sending me home, and then you said no, that she needs 24/7. He said that he gives everybody the opportunity in case you did want her home. You have the home care services, and we'll give you what you need, and maybe she could go home. And I said, no, she's coughing and all, and she's not strong enough. I can't take care of her. He said, no, that's the reason why we do that with everybody. And I asked him about a couple other things, and I asked him about the air conditioner. He said, those air conditioners, they work on them all the time. They have men at maintenance that come through here and check every one. If it's not working, either they're waiting for a part, or they need to clean the filters, or whatever they have to do. I don't handle that. I said, okay. They left. I talked to Marie, and she said, what was that all about? Because she can't hear. I said, yeah, it's about you going home. I stayed a little while. I talked with her, and then I went home. I come back 2 days later. I came at lunchtime, and she's in the bed, and all. She ate her lunch and all, and she looked okay. And then I came back on the 27th, and she was in the hallway in the wheelchair in the common area. And I saw her there because I know the look there now. I saw her there, and she seemed not as alert as usual. So I said, well, roll her in this was around lunchtime. I rolled her in for lunch. It was Memorial Day. It's a holiday. It's another day where it looked like it was understaffed there again. So I rolled her into the dining room, and I got her food ready for her to eat. It was coleslaw, potato salad, a juice, and a hot dog. That's a nice meal to give a person, huh? Why? Because for Memorial Day, a hot dog, huh? And the hot dog, because she was on a puree, it looked like a mesh. You know, it was smashed up, but it wasn't made into a puree. I guess they call it mesh. So she ate it. She didn't seem to like it too much. I gave her some snacks that I had, and I talked for a while, and then I went home. Now, this was on the 27th, on a Monday. I figured, well, I'm going to come back definitely on a Saturday, because I was there 3 days, and I figured when I go back on Saturday, either she's going to be Well, about the same and maybe a little better. I had hope, But no, nobody called me to say anything was wrong. I go there on Saturday, 11:30, a.m. for lunch. She's like unconscious, like in a stupor. She can't talk, nothing. I asked her roommate. She said she's been like that for a couple of days. She hadn't eaten or drinking. They bring the food and take it back. Now this roommate didn't tell me anything about an X-ray machine, which was mentioned on the documentation that I received from the Pennsylvania Department of Health. Now they said on the 30th, on the 1st, that they did all that with the X-rays, and it was the results and the physician and all this stuff, but I never was notified. So there's something wrong. Now when I left her, she was unconscious. I had called the on-call doctor. He said, no, he can't do nothing. He was rude with me. And he said, get one of the nurses and then they can call me and then I could either come there or I'll tell them what to do. I said, okay. I get a nurse, and what does she do? She puts a thing on her finger and looks at it. It says normal. Yeah, she wasn't being normal because she was still alive. Then I asked about blood pressure. Oh, no, I don't know how to do that. She doesn't know how to do that. Well, somebody should be doing it. She laid there like that. Where's this certified, registered nurse practitioner? Where is she? I went downstairs. The nurse's office, nobody was there. So on the weekend, that's it? Don't get sick on the weekend because nobody's going to care? Is that what it is? If I wouldn't have went there on Saturday, I wouldn't know all this because I had got the documentation. But if I wouldn't have went on Saturday, I would assume that she got worse and worse. And I wouldn't have known about it. I wouldn't have saw her laying there like that. But because that's the day I went, for that reason. So they didn't call me about the x-rays. They didn't call me about her not eating. They didn't call me about giving her treatments and all, changing the plan of care appropriately. They didn't call me. Because I know, because the only calls I got in May was 2 calls from the social worker and 1 about the fall. And that's it. Now, if they have documentation that they call me, they didn't, and they're supposed to notify me, okay? They didn't do it. They can't say they don't have my phone number. They can't say I didn't answer. They can't say none of that because it can be checked with the phone records. Okay, I have the same phone I had then, and I have it now, and they have the same phone. So the phone records won't lie, okay? So if they want to say it, then that means they're wrong. I can prove them wrong. The burden of proof is on them to prove that they contacted me and told me. They're supposed to. That's a violation of the federal regulations. Now, I got the code numbers and I have it written down. So I'm not making nothing up. And I can prove I was there on Saturday because I signed in and I talked to a roommate. That's one proof. I called that on-call doctor. That's another proof. That was by phone. And what else? The documentation proves I was there. The documentation that the Pennsylvania Department of Health furnished me when I put the complaint in, I had told them that I was there before they gave me that documentation. Plus, there's a couple of menus I had taken from there. I don't know, I just stuck them in my bag. I just didn't think about it at the time. I noticed there was 2 menus. One said Friday, June 1st, and one said Saturday, June 1st. Why are they both on her tray anyway to begin with? But they realized that, I guess they didn't know that May had 31 days, huh? Who's working there, huh? Well, that's a proof of there's something wrong right there. And that proves I was there also. I have tangible proof. First of all, I made about approximately 50 visits there in the 5 months. And they were all unannounced on-site visits. So they don't know unless they went and looked at the sign-in sheets. If they keep it, I don't know. I talked to the guy at the desk down there when you come in. He was the only one that was there during the 5 months. The first 4 months, there was a lot of people that they knew my name, I knew their name. But starting in May, I didn't know anybody and nobody knew me. So there's definitely something wrong there. And to leave her lay in that bed from, I know, at least about 15 hours when I was there. from 11:30 to 3:30 approximately 3:30 a.m. in the morning the next day, late like that. Because if they would have called 911 before that, I would have got notified before that. So that proves that she was laying there, because the nurse told me she found her like that when she came on. Well, why didn't the nurses before find her like that when they came on and call 911? She had to call 911 to take the body away. Or they're an ambulance service or whatever they have there. I'm still checking into that. The main issue I have that I wasn't called, and I was supposed to be notified. There's regulations for that. Don't they go by the regulations? They think that they can get away with it, so they put down whatever they want. They don't put it down, it didn't happen. So what about, I know they got to be charting her food. So is that going to be on her chart that she didn't eat? If it's on there that she ate, there's something wrong. Now back to the medication. She's getting a medication which is supposed to control that immune deficiency that she has. And it seemed to be working, because it's supposed to make her have an appetite. She was eating. But I noticed towards the last day I saw her, she wasn't as hungry. Now, if they stopped that medication, because whoever was working there didn't give her the medication, well, what does that mean? That then she's not going to lose her appetite then? So they give medication and then she doesn't want to eat? She's getting weaker? Or then they try to give her maybe too much medication, and that's an overdose, would be the symptoms that I found her. That, that grogginess, that stupor that she was in, that's a side effect of the overdose of that medication. Exactly. And it's supposed to call 911 if that happens, and they didn't do it. So, I don't know. Is all what I say, is it frivolous? I don't think so. I just need someone to come in there, and it's got to be investigated from Marie Holland. All her documentation has to have been gone over. It's got to be studied, all the things that was done, especially in May. That May of 2019 is when all this stuff happened. There's got to be the most new people they ever had there. Got to be a lot of they're short-handed. The medications got mixed up. Here's another thing. On the documentation that the Pennsylvania Department of Health sent me, it says on there that they ordered medication. This was on May 30th. Okay, I checked the report, her drug plan. It's not May 30th, it's May 31st. So they couldn't have given it to her till May 31st, and then I found her like that June 1st. So what did that medication do? Nobody said nothing about medication or x-rays or nothing when I was there. Nothing. There was only a few people I saw anyway, a couple people. So, and Doris, the roommate, didn't say nothing about an x-ray machine. She would have noticed that. It says to take an x-rays. It had to be in the room. She's in no condition to be moved. Time to go take x-rays. And plus, in her bedridden, it's very hard to give x-rays anyway to begin with. So if a doctor ordered it, he charged that was on her bill for x-rays. He charged for it. But it's not for the machine. Do they have their own machine? Maybe they do. I don't know. That's one of the things I want to find out about. Because there's something wrong. All this stuff that was done seems to be done right before she passes away. Why is that? Well, why couldn't they check her respiratory status like they're supposed to? And how about the safety? Safety? On her plan of care, it says that she's a fall risk. So why would they be checking her for safety after she falls out of the bed? Well, why is that? It seems funny. They would be checking her before that. And for somebody to fall out of a bed, don't you think it's funny? Suspicion? If somebody fell on the floor is one thing. But she fell out of a bed that has bed rails. Now how could she fall out of a bed and there's no mats or nothing on the floor because they had the bed rail? That's the reason for it. So whoever put her to bed the night before, the staff, right? One of the staff. They don't mention nothing about that. That was their neglect. It was our mistake. We're sorry for that to happen. That she got put in the bed and the woman, whoever took care of her, didn't put the railing up, so she falls on the floor. So that doesn't count? They don't say that. Why don't they call 911? Regardless, she's got coverage for 911. Why didn't they call it? They called it before. There's no consistency there. It's whatever the staff says, right? Who's ever on at that time. They didn't want to call 911. She fell out of the bed. Because if they found internal injuries or something inside with her brain or something that could have cause a chemical imbalance because she has mental disease as it is. So that's the reason why. So they cover it up with all this safety and all this stuff. So her condition was getting worse, and they started that grandstand effort at the end with the x-rays and all. That's really all I have to say about it, but I know it needs a big investigation, especially with all her clinical records and charts and all that's got to be checked out, especially for May of 2019. And I know there's going to be discrepancies, okay? That's the end of this video. Thank you for listening.